Hello everyone, myself Rakesh Patil from the Department of Civil Engineering, KLS VDIT Halyar. I welcome you to the lecture series on groundwater hydraulics. The subject code is 17CV 742, semester 7, module number 1, lecture number 1. Today we are going to discuss about the aquifer parameters. This is an elective subject, and aquifers, you already know what you mean by aquifers. So today we are going to discuss about groundwater parameters, that is aquifers. As you all know, aquifer is nothing but it's a subsurface structure which is lying below the earth crust. It's very precious and most widely distributed resource of the earth, and unlikely any other mineral source, it is annual replenishment from the metric precipitation. The world's total water resources are estimated at 1.37 into 10 raised to minus 8 million hectometers. These global water resources, about 97.2% is salt water, mainly in the ocean, and only 2.8% is available for as a fresh water at any time on the planet Earth. So today we are going to discuss about some of the basic part of aquifers and the basic part of availability of the water. So let's start with some of the basic concept which we have in today's classroom. Say for example, today we are going to discuss about aquifer parameter. In order to access groundwater potential in any area and to evaluate the impact of pumpage on ground regime, it is essential to know aquifer parameter. These are storage coefficient and transmissibility. These are the major parameters which are helpful for to understand the potential of the area. Basically, groundwater is distributed in subsurface water, and from the surface, if you start mapping for the groundwater, you may have encounter with the vertical distribution of surface water. That is, first layer is completely root zone, where plant roots will be present. Maximum it is covered with the soil moisture, where rich water is not available. Then below that we have an intermediate zone. In intermediate zone we have crack surface or loose rocks are present, where it is also called as zone of aeration, where water plus gases plus air and water vapor is present. Then you will be encountering with the major layer, that is capillary fringe layer, where the water will be pumping by drop wise, or you can say tube wise, where water is not rich also. Then you will be having water table which is rich and very essential for the ground table. Then below water table we have a saturated water, where freely available of water will be present. So the formation of the below earth surface is divided into two zones, which is irregular surface called as water table. At the point of on the water table, the pressure is atmospheric. The zone between the ground surface and water table is called as unsaturated zone or water zone, where freely available water will be not there. It is trapped in between the two rocks, or you can say it's a soil layer. The water in this zone is held to soil particles by capillary force. Thus, while this water is able to move within the water zone, it cannot move out of the zone into walls or other places that are exposed at atmospheric pressure. In this zone below the water table, all the soil pores are completely filled with water, and hence it is called as zone of saturation, where freely available of water will be present. Then the soil water will be very important, because the percolation of a water or infiltration of a water will be present in the above layer only. Thus, we classified into three types, that is hygroscopic water, capillary water, and gravitational water. When an over-dried sample is kept open in the atmosphere, it is observed some amount of water from the atmosphere, which is cheaply, it depends upon the soil layer. Capillary water is the part of the excess of hygroscopic water which is exists in the pore space of the soil by molecular attraction. Gravitational water is the part of excess of hygroscopic and capillary water which will be moved out of the soil if favorable drainage is provided. Water may be also classified as unavailable, available, and superfluous. This classification is based on the availability of the soil water to the plants. Then majorly the rock formation, water from the rock formation is depends upon the type of rocks which is available inside the earth crust. This is a completely basic which we are talking in today's class. Based upon these parameters only, we have some of the problems, some of the derivations, some of the formulas to remember. That's why I'm covering some of the basic things. Some clue regarding water bearing property of a rock are given as storage coefficient and transmissivity will be available. It is the permeability and the storage coefficient is the property of an aquifer to store water in the soil or rock pores. The storage coefficient and or storativity is defined as the volume of water released from the storage per unit area of the aquifer. And the per unit decline in hydrographic head. Transmissibility, it is the property of aquifer to transmit water. Transmissibility is defined as the rate at which water is transmitted through unit width and full saturated thickness of aquifer under a unit hydraulic gradient. So basically for the groundwater hydrology, we have to have the knowledge regarding permeability and impermeability layers, porous or impermeable layers, which is very adequate for the resource of groundwater. Then, to know the pressure of a groundwater, we are supposed to understand the coefficient of storage as well as transmissibility also. And there is another main character which is applying this hydraulic pressure, that is spring also, where the hydraulic pressure will be reducing as the area decreases. So other methods for determining aquifer parameters are leaky aquifers, storages in aquitard, confined and unconfined isotropics and anisotropics, then fracture flows, then large diameter wells with a well bore storage. For any of the construction of bore wells, these the storage coefficient and transmissibility will be very important. These all are depends upon the hydraulic gradients, which is very essential for the knowing the pressure of the area. So let's start from today's learning objective, that is groundwater occurrence, type of aquifer, aquifer parameters, and if time permits, we talking about Darcy's law, then measurement of coefficient, types of well construction, and well development. This entire thing will be covering in the first module. So today I am going to talk about aquifers and aquifer parameters. So let's start with the first, that is aquifer parameters. First, we'll define what is the aquifer. formation which contains groundwater and at the same time which are sufficiently permeable to transmit and yield water in insoluble quantity are called as aquifer, or you can say in simple words, it is nothing but it's a storage of water inside the earth crust, which permeability and porosity will be richer there. They may get recharged directly from the above through the pores process of precipitation and infiltration, or they may have recharge area somewhere else on the earth surface. The amount of water contained by aquifer depend on the porosity of the aquifer. The formation while the amount of water that can yield depends on its permeability. The groundwater is also known as water exists in the pore spaces and fracture zones in rock and sediments beneath the unsaturated soil, which can flow freely into well, tunnel and springs. Groundwater occurrence mainly depends upon the porosity, saturated and unsaturated zone, permeability of the soil, aquifer, storage coefficient. So aquifers provides two important functions: to transmit groundwater from areas of recharge to areas of discharge, to provide a storage medium for unusable quantity of a groundwater. Then there are majorly these aquifers are divided into two types, that is confined and unconfined. Unconfined is defined as an unconfined aquifer is the one of which water table varies in undulating from the slope depending on the area of recharge and discharge and permeability. Contour maps are profiles of the water table can be prepared from elevation of water in well that tap the aquifer to determine the quantities of water available and their distribution to the movement. So you can see in this diagram aquifers, how aquifers will be look like. This is a soil zone. This entire is soil zone. Below the soil zone we have a fracture zone, or you can say open zone, unsaturated zone it is. In unsaturated zone the cracks will be developed and this is called as aquifer table or a groundwater table. Here it is unconfined because it is opened where impermeable rock layer is lying on this particular aquifer, whereas this is confined. Why it is confined? Because permeable layer is lying on this particular diagram. You can see here we have wells here, we have drilled wells here, and this is confined aquifer because on this aquifer we have a conformable beds, whereas this is unconfined because here impermeable rock layer is present. Impermeable rock layer means which water allows freely, whereas this layer will not allow water to drain inside the rocks. So for example this may be the granite layer and this may be the sedimentary layer. So this is the how confined and unconfined aquifer may be defined. And we also have one as arrostation well. It is simply a well that does not require a pump or to bring water to surface. This occurs when there is enough pressure in the aquifers. And guys, today this is a very important thing. Wherever the arrostation well is there you doesn't require any pumps here, pump sites. Where the pressure is enormous, enough pressure will be there, so that's why the arrostation well is not required. This subject will be dealing with this particular topic only. See, if your aquifer is very near to the surface and your pressure is you have enough pressure, then you does not require any kind of hydraulic gradients here. Whereas say for example if you are pumping out from the water from the confined aquifers where pressure is very low, that time this particular subject will be dealing with this particular parameters. how to here only the Darcy's law plays very important role. That all things we'll be seeing in next class. So these are the aquifer parameters: porosity, specific yield, specific retention, coefficient of permeability, transmissibility, specific storage, specific coefficient. You can see this is the rocks. Here whatever the holes are there, these holes are called as porous. This connectivity between porous is called as permeable. This is impermeable rock layer, this is permeable rock layer. If connectivity is between holes are there, then it is called as permeable. If connectivity between no connectivity between porous, then it is called as impermeable rock layer. Now then we have some pumping test. It's examination of aquifer response under the controlled condition to the abstract of water. Pumping test can be well test determined or aquifer test can be determined. The principle of pumping test involves applying a stress to aquifer by extracting groundwater from a pumping well and measuring the aquifer responses by monitoring drawdown in observation well. Here you can see. This is called as drawdown layers. Is called as cone of depression. This entire thing is called as cone of depression. This is well. Here you can see this is here coarse sand is there. From the coarse sand, if you have a coarse sand, automatically you will be having a porous here. So this well is completely connected to towards this particular region. So what will happen in the monsoon time or in the water rich level or infiltration time, the drawdown curve will be present as the pressure increases. If you don't have pressures, then automatically you need to have some of the pump sites to install there. Yes, in pumping site we have two types of conditions, that is steady radial flow, steady radial confined airflow and steady unconfined radial flow. These all things we will be seeing in next class. Just today I am talking about some of the basic things. Before concluding, I would like to speak about some of the different types of aquifers. That is, it's not types. There are only two types: aquifers, confined and unconfined. But there are different structures of aquifers as well. That is, aquicloud, aquitard, aquifuge. These are also very important aquifers, which plays a very important role in the pumping test. So aquicloud is nothing but it's a geological formation which is saturated and which may contain large amount of water because of its high porosity but cannot transmit water. It is relatively impermeable is called as aquicloud. A clear layer is an example, you can say take as an example. Then we have a aquitard. It is a saturated geological formation which is poorly permeable and hence it does not yield water freely to wells. It may transmit vertically appreciable quantities of water to or form adjacent aquifer. Sandy clay can be an example of this particular aquitard. Then aquifuge, an impermeous geological formation which neither contain nor transmit water is known as aquifuge. Then we have another one type of aquifer, that is a leaky aquifer. In leaky aquifer, what will happen? Aquifer bound by one or two gradients is called as leaky aquifers. Then also another type of groundwater is we have, that is purged water. We call it as a seasonal water. Here what will happen when a groundwater body is separated from the main groundwater table by relatively impermeable stratum of a small area extend to and by the zone of aeration above the main body of groundwater is called as purged water. So that's all from today's class. Today we have discussed about some basic knowledge regarding this subject, In upcoming classes, we'll be having some of the pumping test levels and pumping test level problem we do have, that will be covering in next classes. Thank you very much.